willing to give up sleep. You gotta be willing to work off for 3 hours of sleep, 2 hours. If you really want to be successful, some days you will have to stay up 3 days in a row. Because you gotta be willing to work off for 3 hours of sleep, 2 hours. If you don't want it badder than you want to party, you don't want it as much as you want to be cool. Most of you don't want success. You don't want it badder than. I don't know how many of y'all got asthma in here today, but if you ever had an asthma attack before, you short of breath, SOB, shortness of breath, you wheezing. The only thing you trying to do is get some air. You don't care about no basketball game. You don't care what's on TV. You don't care about nobody calling you. You don't care about a party. The only thing you care about when you're trying to breathe is to get some fresh air. I'm not eating like I eat at home. That's why you're about to go to the next level, because if you keep eating like you ate at home, you'll keep being a boy or a girl. It's time to become man, woman.
Hey, hot facts with Robert Reese, man. This your boy Dash Bandicoot tapping in with you, brother. Hey, I'm right here on a break in my dash right now, getting busy, but I figured I'd tap in before I eat some grub real quick. But yo, man, I like your channel, like what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we share some of the same ideas as far as like how to navigate this gig market. So just tapping in, showing love, man. I seen your comment. Finally got a chance to hit you, bro. Whenever you get a chance back, man, just holler, man, for sure, man. Love, bro. Be safe.
I'm with Karen Chappelle, who's the director. I'm with Barbara Bass and Martha and Jamie, and they are on the committee of the Theater Wars Committee. Karen,
you said that, man. This is your lane. You made this. This is your baby, and you're gonna see it through. You know, that's great. When Dash Bandicoot told me about you, and I'm like, I've never heard of this man before. But if you're he was like he basically told me he would follow you to war if there was a war. I'm like, I gotta check him out. You know. And that's how I started watching your channel.
This guy, he brings the energy. He's got the best intro in all of YouTube, mate. He's got other people saying his name, and there's a reason for that. And he can get subscribers from anyone. With his great personality, man. The Hot Facts is exactly that, man.
Hot Facts, KG Sports, and you're watching Hot Facts with Robert Reese.
You're watching Hot Facts with Robert Reese. What's up, guys? You're watching Hot Facts with Robert Reese. Take care.
This is Isaac Henderson, and you're watching Hot Facts with Robert Reese.
What's up, guys? I'm Sean Berube. This is my boy Vargas, and we love watching Hot Facts with Robert Reese.
You're watching Hot Facts with Robert Reese.
Hello, everyone. Hello, welcome We have another one today, people. This is another interview. You know, this is Hot Facts. We just had Hot Facts with Robert Reese live at 2 p.m. That was the gig work, gig economy, people. And as you do know that right now, it is interview time. And this one is a special one, people. I scroll through the YouTube universe all the time, and I like to look at things that I like. I like animals. I like all of the animals, and you know, especially dogs. And when I come across certain things that I like, and I've been following this page for quite a while, just checking up on and looking at like the training and everything that goes on that this group does. People, phenomenal work. A trained dog is a safe dog, is what I like to say. I do know I have some people that have some dogs, and I told them when I was going to be doing this interview, they said I'm going to make sure that I tap in, rewatch it when I'm at work, do all that other stuff. People, Precision Canine, okay? This is Jake right there. You do see the name. Jake, let the people know where you are, and then just introduce yourself really quick.
Yeah, so Jake right here. We're out of, I say Austin, Texas. We're about 20 minutes north of Austin, actually, in a little town called Leander. So most of our clientele, most of them we work with are though out here in Austin, Texas.
Okay, great. Now I check out your videos, and that clip there that was playing earlier, everything that German Shepherd was doing, I said that is awesome right there. So the dog training that you guys do for everyone else out there, they see that dog and they saw him doing the the protection work. So let them know all the types of dog training you guys have.
Yeah, I would think the vast majority of what we do, about 70% of what we do, is just your everyday obedience. People need help with their dogs. They're jumping on people. Maybe they're barking at the neighbor. They won't sit still. They won't stay. That's about 70% of what we do. The other 30% of what we do, though, is personal protection dogs in sport dog training. So like that dog you saw in that video, that dog was I have been training that dog to compete with that dog. But we also have, again, a lot of clients that we work with that do personal protection, which is basically a family dog that's social and go out to places. But it also can be that dog to act as a deterrent, protection dog in the right setting. And then every now and again, we do some police dogs. And the last dog we did was a while ago doing narcotics with that dog. But yeah, that is it. That's the gist of what we do here.
Okay, so like what I do is I'm part of the gig economy too, the whole delivery force thing that America is built on right now. And in the news, especially recently, there's a lot of people getting their cars taken. They're getting robbed, and a lot of people. We are telling people that, you are an independent contractor. You are doing this job. You have to protect yourself. You don't have any pepper spray or anything else like that. I'm telling people that a dog would be a perfect deterrent if it's in your vehicle, trained. Someone's not going to target you to come to your vehicle to try to take your car. You know what I mean? So I've been trying to let people know, get a dog. Let people know how beneficial it is to have a protective dog with you while doing jobs like this, out on the run.
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more with you. We actually hear a lot of those horror stories of people who have gotten their car broken into, their house broken into, have been assaulted. We're out here in Austin, but one of the big things, honestly, is a lot of females have been assaulted going on the trail, taking a jog, and trying to take a jog during the day or at night. And so they've told us these horror stories. I've even had a family call me from Waco up there in the Baylor area. They had someone brought in, kick in the door of their daughter's home. She was going to college. So all of her friends sitting out there on their iPads just doing homework, and these guys came in, took everything from what they had, and this is why they wanted the dog. And right there, I can tell you that the dog is a huge deterrent. I mean, I tell you right now, 80% of these dogs, as you kind of see in that video with that dog there, if that dog started barking at you, a German Shepherd, not even German Shepherd, let's say any dog alone that I have or you had, you're outside and someone sees you with that dog, and whether they bark at you or not, that's a deterrent. People are going to go on to the next home. And another quick story with that is I had a client who we had been working with her and her dog for a while, and this dog was nothing more than just a deterrent dog, just like the bark at the front door. back doors, and that was about it. And she actually had someone break into her neighbor's house, and they all had security cameras, and they actually went to her house first. Her dog was barking though, and it got them to go to her neighbor's house to break it instead. And it's not, it's not real funny, but the thing about it is like that dog did its job. It was the deterrent. So I couldn't agree more. Dogs, it's an extra set of eyes and ears is what I tell people, and that's important.
Right. Now, what about, I've seen some people, they say they would like to pay for it, but they feel that even if they pay for it, they still think that when they leave, their dog is still not going to act in that manner. How can you guarantee a person that it's gonna go in your favor? Because that's probably the biggest leap. Someone saying, I'm paying for this and I want it to work.
Well, and that's a really good point to bring up. That's a tough part about our job. They'll say that's the tough thing. I was just talking to one of my employees about that too. It's a tough thing because someone will come to us with a dog that they have spent $5,000, $6,000 on just as a puppy, right? And we have to tell these people, hey, this is not going to be the dog, because that's what it comes down to. I believe, it comes to 50% of this is the dog. If you have the right dog, it's going to be good. But if you don't have the right dog for this situation, it's not going to be, it's not going to work. And I think it hits on another point too, is that there's a lot of people who have a dog. There's tons of people that come to us have a dog and their house have gotten broken into, and they say, why did my dog not do anything? Well, part of it is training, but also part of it comes down to that dog's personality.
Right. Now, I have someone in the chat here. His name is Arturo Does It All. Now, he goes online on YouTube, and he puts up dog escape. He has a German Shepherd that's young, and his dog escapes constantly from his thing. I'm gonna show a clip really quick. Let me pull a clip up of this. Yeah, his dog does this, and he says no matter what he does, his dog finds a way to do what it has to do. So let me go ahead and find this clip really quick. Because it is right. No. Am I missing something here? Okay. I just did this clip. 31, 33. I don't know where the clip is on. Let me see if I try to look. Oh, bam. Is this it? I think this is it. Okay.
That's impressive. Wow, he's out.
Now check this out though. Now when you go watch the actual full thing, the dog escapes within like 15 minutes of when he sets it up and leaves, and it tries and it does, and then finally it gets out. He says he finds a way to get out of everything, and the dog is so smart.
Yeah.
What do you suggest?
Yeah, this is great because actually we see this a lot. We deal with a lot. First off, Osik has a German Shepherd. Those dogs have been known that they get a strong bond with their owner, and a lot of times they don't want to be separated. I feel like this is one of the same situations here, but dogs are also opportunists. And I feel like this dog, unfortunately, when a dog is able to get out of their gate or their pen in the yard, they're probably 10 times more likely to do it again just from that one time, right? They felt that success. They know they can do it. We used to have, many years ago, we used to have kennels a lot like he has right there. And I stopped using those because, again, you have a German Shepherd. He doesn't have a little poodle or lab mix. He's got a German Shepherd. And what I would be recommending is not using that enclosure. We actually use, at our facility here, we use what's called rough land kennels. Now, they're a little expensive. They're about $300. But the reason we use them is they're basically bulletproof. We have not had a dog break out of them. They try to break out of them, but they can't. So it's a safety thing. I think that's also what's going on with this dog here. It's a safety thing. When he's clawing his way out of it, kind of like that, that can be a concern for the dog getting hurt. And of course, the owner doesn't want to come home to a basement or living room chewed up. So I would recommend getting a different type of setup. Even though the dog's young, getting either a rough-land kennel would be the ideal to go. Because unfortunately, in that situation there, that dog knows how to get out of there. The second thing is I don't like wired kennels because, especially with a dog like that knows how to chew and get out, what's going to happen is he's going to use his teeth and he could damage himself on that. So the rough-land kennels are like they're a crate, a traditional plastic crate, just kind of on steroids. And, those are the ones I would recommend, especially for that situation there.
Arturo says all leashes broken. What do you say? 2 couches are ripped up. Yeah. Oh man! But see how smart his dog is, though. Like that, to me, that's like the perfect candidate to go into like your type of training there, right?
Potentially, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we want a dog to be a personal protection dog. There's about 3 to 4 things we really look for. I like a dog that high prey drive. I like a dog that likes to possess, which means it likes to get its toy and its prey item and hang on to it and want to let go of it too easily. I like a dog that's naturally confident. A dog you can throw into a room, throw into a different room, and they don't skip a beat. They're the same dog. And I also like a dog who's very independent, right? A dog that's okay with being away from the owner. Those are the traits that we like to look for as a personal protection dog. We might have a dog that comes in here who's not super confident, but they have a high prey drive. That would make up for it. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that dog might make a good candidate. This is where, it's tough because I've had a lot of people, I've looked at their dogs, and we get the best assessment done when they come into our facility. I will tell you right now, about 50% of the dogs easily, probably more like 75% of the dogs don't make the cut. It's not to say they can't do it, right? Not to say they can't be a good deterrent dog and, bark at somebody when someone comes to the house or maybe outside in the right setting. But what it means is we're going to either take too much time training that dog because they don't have it in them genetically. And at the end of the day, what would happen is if the owner's getting assaulted and they need that dog, the dog's going to tuck tail and run as opposed to actually trying to fight this person or push this person away. So again, that's why we have there's a big fail rate because again, it takes a certain personality of dog, but I've seen it in different dogs. I've seen it in our labs. I've seen it in Rottweilers and obviously our protection breeds. I see a lot of them, but even there, right? There's a ton of German Shepherds and a ton of Malinois that we work with that just don't make the cut either. So it's tough.
Now you say you're on the sports side too. So agility dog training isn't that also?
Yeah, I don't do any agility dog. When we talk about sport dog, it's actually a protection sports. So I urge anybody to look it up. One of the big ones that I like and I'm active in is Protection Sports Association. It's called PSA for short. That's a big one, kind of taking over the nation right now. There's different sports that are older, like you have Schutzhund or now known as IGP. There's French ring and Mondio ring. But PSA is honestly just where it's at right now. Tons of people want to do it. It's fast paced. They take some things from the personal protection side. So like you have to do a carjacking scenario. If it was a surprise attack and a courage test. There's also obedience that is involved too. I'm actually a decoy for the sport as well. So I urge people to check that out, look it up. Those are some really awesome dogs there. A lot of awesome training that goes on.
Oh wow! Now, what's the typical for that young German Shepherd that you had in that video? What's the typical time frame to get a dog to cooperate like that? Because that was pretty impressive.
That's another good question. So I'm gonna couple things real fast. That dog in the video, he's a Dutch Shepherd Belgian Malinois cross. Yeah, he looks like a German Shepherd. So it's just interesting. But a lot of people see that dog and they think German Shepherd. He's actually, it's kind of hard to tell in the video. He's not a very big dog. He's pretty small, which is why I had him on the legs. I'm thinking that he was maybe 40 pounds in that video. He's not okay. German Shepherds get a lot bigger than that. But right. To answer the question about how long it takes, well, it depends on. One of the things is genetics. Like as I was talking about, like some dogs we just have to wash because they're not going to make the cut. It's because genetically it could be a dog that has grip issues, which we can only do so much with that. The majority of that is genetic. So I would say in a perfect world, if I had someone come to me with a dog that's about 6 months old, but I had everything I liked, very confident, strong independence, strong food drive, all in all, after the dog comes to maturity, let's just talk about maybe 14 months old, like 15 months old. That might be a good starting from 6 months up until about 14 months. I I could say we'd have a quote unquote finished product there. You know, every dog, you know, it's the thing about dogs, kind of like people. I mean, everyone matures a little bit differently, but I think it gives you an idea. Personally, for me, when I get a puppy, I start with them 8 weeks old. I'm starting getting that dog, giving him food, working for food, chasing the rag around for the prey drive, just little stuff. But that's when I like to start.
Okay, Arturo says, can you still feel the pressure of the bite with the suit on?
Absolutely. I mean, it's pretty intense sometimes. Some dogs, you can really feel it. Where it's, I mean, I've got bruises on my legs and on my arms. They get bruised all the time. You can see this one here from.
Yep, I see that.
From the dogs biting. So yeah, absolutely. And wear things underneath it. I put we have gauntlets on. I have a leather one. Even I wear with some dogs that are just pretty hard to handle. But that's part of it too, and part of it goes into training. If we can feel that dog bite, I can give the dog feedback. So a lot of times you're going to watch videos of people yelling when the dog's biting them. They're not yelling just because. It's typically because we're trying to let the dog know, you hurt me, I can feel you, and you did a good job. So that, but obviously that's what's going to happen with the bad guy too, right? When he gets bit by somebody, he's going to make noises. The dog's going to feed into it. They're going to want to bite harder, which makes these dogs good at their job.
Right. Now I got a question for myself here. So let's say different businesses, let's say they use guard dogs. Do you guys have contracts with certain companies where you guys are just supplying how does it work? You know, if there's a company that really uses dogs and they know that you train the dogs, how is that business set up to keep dogs going for a business?
Yeah, so let's talk about a company I worked with. I got a dog. I didn't get them the dog. They got the dog. I did the training for that dog, basically kind of maintaining what the dog knows. They would do in a contract in downtown Austin. The thing about some of these security companies is that dog is, if they really want to be a deterrent, there's some liability that goes into there. We have a dog and bite somebody and they're not with the department. Even with that, there's liability there. But the way it typically works with some of these security companies is the dog is a huge asset. I know a lot of people who have actually somebody now in California, they got a dog specifically for their company, and it got them a lot of contracts. So I tell people someone who's doing security work, having a dog is going to get you to be more valuable for what you might need that dog, what your company does, I should say. So one of the clients out in California, he has a business out there. He's back here in Texas, but they got a dog, and that dog has got them a lot of contracts. So, I have helped them maintain the training of those dogs. Like I said, one of the things is, again, when you're working with some of the security companies, it's a blessing and a curse. You also don't want, you really have to know how to handle one of these dogs. I mean, I've talked to officers where some of these dogs are biting accidentally, and you gotta know how to handle these dogs correctly.
Now, do you guys take on, like, let's say the police have a dog that it's going rogue a couple times? Do they, in your area, do they send those dogs over to you guys to go ahead and get them rehabbed back up or see what the issue is, or do you take those dogs completely off because they're bringing them to you and you got to try to transition it to just regular life, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about that is most of these dogs, there's a client of mine, he's a police officer, he got a dog from another department and it had some issues. And it just turns out that dog just wasn't a great fit for that handler. The vast majority of the time that one of these departments gets a dog, they're getting, the majority of the time, they're getting a good dog, and it may not be paired correctly with the handler. Sometimes I've seen it where they just did not get a good dog, and they unfortunately got the short end of the stick. And I've had to tell them that. But as far as when that happens, typically they do a pretty good job of pairing that dog with somebody else. And then, as far as what they like to do a lot of in-house training, especially when it comes to bigger departments, they do a lot of in-house training. As far as for outsourcing, I've worked with a lot of smaller departments. Again, they don't have a lot of resources, unfortunately, and that's where I've come into play to help them out with that. But to answer your question, I mean, most of the dogs that they understand too, if the dog has accidentally bit somebody, usually it's on the handler. Usually it's not had nothing to do with the dog. It's more of the handler putting the dog in the wrong situation. Equipment failure, right? I've heard of leashes breaking, getting away from the handler. But it's unfortunate. It does happen though. Now, how much? I know a lot of people want to know how much does it cost. How
how much is the whole complete program, you know, that you guys have, or if you guys have separate programs, you know, what are they called, and you know, how much?
Key question. So I mean, you know, we have different ways of doing it. I mean, if someone calls us and wants a personal protection dog, they just want kind of like out of the box a dog that's fully trained. We do that. We've got a couple dogs here right now that are in that program. You're looking around $20,000, $20,000 to $30,000 for a dog like that. Again, it just depends on, you know, what they want. The dogs that I tell people the dogs that we provide, they're a social police dog. That's the best way to put it. We want a dog that can be around the family members. They can go out in public if they need to be. They can fly with that dog. But we also want them to have a dog that, you know, can take care of business, right? It's going to bark at the thresholds. That can bark on command and knows how to do bite work, but also has a super solid obedience that you need. So
you said flying with the pet also. So you said, yeah, flies with you and everything?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we have worked with clients who, you know, they have a private jet or airplane. They want to take their dog on their private jet somewhere. We want to make sure the dog is stable enough to be able to go on a plane and fly somewhere and not freak out when they're in the car, you know, they're up with the client. Well, again, most of our clients, you know, they get one of these dogs and they're flying different places with their family, and the dog is a family member, and so they want to be able to take the dog with them.
Now, being that the expert dog trainer that you are, have you ever been in a situation to ever have to, or have you done before, actual service dog training? Let's say, you know, the difference, you know, someone blind, or, you know, so have you tampered into that world too?
I have not, and you know, here's why. The service dog industry is a lot different than what we do, and I try to stick with what we know, what we're really good at. I definitely evaluate dogs before. We had someone come in last week and they wanted to have a service dog. I thought the dog had a great temperament, but I just referred them to somebody else who does more of that work. When it comes to service dogs, you know, again, it's kind of like the protection dog stuff, because you have to have a certain temperament with that dog. And that's half of it, in my opinion, having a dog with a really good temperament. And then training obviously comes after, but yeah, fortunately we don't do a whole lot of any service dog stuff here.
Now with that being said, from how you train a dog, do you think you would have to completely just start over and start brand new with, like, let's say there's a competition, right? Like a game show.
Yeah.
And it's about dogs, and they have different trainers there. You know, you might have your Petco trainer, you know, you have this type of trainer there. Now, what if they just switched and said, okay, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do what this guy does? Would you be completely lost? Like completely lost on even trying to start up something like that?
You're talking about, let me answer your question correctly. If you're talking about if there was some kind of a game shows, other trainers, Petco, all throughout the, you know, how would I feel about swapping and doing something like that?
Yeah, swapping, like let's say the Petco guy got swapped out with you, and then you have to go and do the service dog training, you know, like, would that be just a completely different universe? Like I have to just start over, like from scratch?
No, I mean, I tell you this, you know, there would be nothing wrong with me being able to switch that place and just keep on going. I can train a dog, do anything. I can start doing service dog training. You know, I'll tell you what a lot of trainers can do is a lot of things that we do. I think that there's just when someone talks to me about, you know, Petco, PetSmart trainers versus us, we get that a lot. Clients will say, okay, well, you know, I'm going to check out Petco, and it's like comparing an apple to an orange stuff. So, you know, yeah, that's how I feel about it.
That is so hilarious that you say that, because, like, yeah, you'll get people to come up with any excuse to not really want to do it, and then they'll say, I'll just go try Petco. Come on, man.
But you know, when someone does it, when someone says, no, I'll go to Petco, like, go ahead. You know, at the end of the day, you know.
Yeah, no disrespect.
Yeah, like, go ahead, man. Go to Petco, go to PetSmart, you know, I'll help you out, call for you.
You'll get a phone call from that person a couple months down the line. That's what'll happen. I think that is hilarious. Now, you have a pretty good team. How big is your team that you work with?
So, you know, I've got 3 other full-time employees. And then I have right now 2 other part-time employees that do our kennel tech work, who help out with letting our dogs out that stay here overnight. So, you know, all in all, including myself, you know, we've got 7 people here.
Okay. And how many dogs are on facility, like on site with you there? I hear some dogs there.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great question because we are a smaller kind of operation. So the maximum number of dogs that we want to have here would be 10, which, you know, there's a lot of other places that are like, oh, you know, we have 50 dogs here, and that's a lot of work. We think more about the quality and not the quantity is what we're looking at.
Yeah, it's like private school, you know, even though some public people, there's nothing wrong with going to public schools, but, you know, some of these teachers are stressed out because there's way too many students to try to give attention to. So people send their kids to private schools. So this is pretty much what it is, people. If you want your dog to get the, you know, the perfect one-on-one training all the time to get that stuff done. Now, how is it with the transitions going over from you being the commander and you being the alpha and then releasing that dog over to the owner? How does that work?
Well, we try to help our clients out as much as possible. So like while the dog is here for training, we try to send our clients video updates so they can see the progress their dog's making. When the client comes back to pick their dog up, that's what we're going to help, right? Because they already have an idea of what their dog is doing and how they're performing. And then what we do at that point is we do what we call like transition lessons back on. So the first lesson, we're kind of handing that torch back over to our client. We're saying, hey, you know, this is what Spike knows. This is what I want you to do with that dog. We watch, we observe, and we're not training so much the dog at that point. The dog knows what to do. We're training the client. After we do that first initial lesson with the dog, after they've been here for 2 weeks or a month, however long, we always want to do a follow-up with that client at least a week later, maybe sometimes it's 2 or 3 days later. We just want to make sure that all the work that we've done, the client's following through with. We see two disconnects. One of the disconnects is the dog goes home, the owner does nothing with that dog, and they go back to old habits. That's one of the biggest disconnects that we see. And then being consistent, right? I mean, we want our clients to be consistent with their dogs, do the homework, so that way they're successful in the long run.
Okay. And now, do you have any, okay, two-part question here. Do you have a success story from, let's say, a dog that they thought it may have been wanting to get put down and it turned out to be pretty good? And then second part, do you have a success story from one of your dogs that appears on commercials or does any other stuff like that with the media?
Yeah. So I got a couple. One of them, talking with our success stories. I don't know how many. I mean, I've been doing this full time for almost 11 years. So like, I've seen that throughout the years. I've had clients where they're so close to putting that dog down, and we do some training with that dog, and it's so much better. We even had a dog, a German Shepherd, it's a black German Shepherd. We're about to post a video of it before and after. She was here, and she came in trying to bite all of us. Kind of a nasty dog. That dog made a huge improvement over the 3 weeks that she was here. I mean, just night and day difference. You couldn't believe it. We had another dog, I think one other success story a few years back, a dog named Mike. He was on at least 3 different types of medications. Very aggressive dog. The owners dropped the dog off for a 3 weeks of training. They dropped the dog from the muzzle because it's trying to eat all of us. Once we built a relationship with that dog, we started training. We were able to get to the point, and I have this video on my YouTube channel where that dog's going out to Lowe's and walking around with people. But before, you see the before video, and he's pretty nasty. I mean, he's showing his teeth, he's trying to bite us. And what it comes down to is training. A lot of these dogs just have not had training. The dog in particular here, Mike, he was at a shelter for a long time. He had gone from home to home. Some of the dogs that we work with have had a bite history, which means they've bitten somebody. We look at it with our success stories and our clients. We just got to be honest with them and talk to them about the not just the benefits of training, but how they can dictate a lot of this and how to be successful and how to manage their dog's behavior.
Oh yes. Now go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and I want to give the floor to you on this one really quick, because I get tired of seeing people pick up dogs or go buy dogs, and then they have no idea. They have not done any they don't know what type of dog they have. And then a lot of them are just, you see them roaming the streets, or, no one wants to get them in the pound. You try to rescue a dog from the pound, and you just look in there and just see all these crazy things. I want you to go out there and just talk to people and let them know things they should do before purchasing a dog.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think that's a really great question, because a lot of people get a dog and they don't realize all the responsibilities that come along. Let's not even talk about training. Let's talk about the fact that, the vet bills, right? You got to keep sure the dog is healthy, right? You got to make sure you're feeding them food, and not just any food, right? It's just kind of like you and me, right? We want to make sure we're not eating, junk food all day long, right? So with our dogs, I will tell you this, that the food makes a big impact on sometimes the way they behave and the way they act. And so like in their overall health, right? So that's another thing too. If you're going to get a dog, we talk about vet bills, we talk about make sure you have on a decent type of food, and then the structure that we provide. Dogs crave structure, so having a routine every day for that dog that you want to keep up with. If you're somebody who's kind of sporadic and every day is a little bit different, and that dog's going to feed off that. It's important to have a routine in place before you get a dog. Last thing I would say is a kennel. I mean, a lot of people don't like putting their dogs in kennels, but that is really one of the great ways to provide structure to keep our dogs safe for many different reasons. But kennel training, like I said, quality food, getting prepared for the vet bills, knowing how much those things are going to cost ahead of time, making sure you have, again, that nice routine. That would be some of the best advice I would get to somebody who's just getting a dog. And again, if you do have issues, reach out to somebody, right? If your dogs have the experience, they're showing behavioral issues, reach out to a trainer.
People, this is good stuff right here, people. You guys gotta pay attention to all of this stuff. That's why I conduct these interviews, people. There's a lot of people, and I hear them saying, I want to get a dog, but I don't know about this. Or you hear people say, well, someone gave me a dog because they didn't want the dog, and then they don't know about the dog that they got. And so people just do a little bit of research, and like he said, food and all of these things count. And that kennel, people, if you don't have the time to spend with the pet, like it's your best friend, you're gonna have to get that kennel, because you're not gonna be training the dog like that nonstop. And once you start neglecting, you'll come back, like Arturo says, like holes in the couch. And most of the time, people, when the dog is biting on furniture and stuff like that, people, it just wants to work. So just get it out there, let it burn that energy off, and what's your thing on having a dog that's too social? What's the perfect social spot for a dog?
That's another great topic, honestly, because we don't want a dog, what you just called very social. We call that hypersocial, right? So I don't like a hypersocial dog because I go out in public and they're pulling me everywhere to go say hi. That's one of the reasons I don't like a hypersocial dog. I also don't want a dog who's afraid of his own shadow and afraid of being out public either. What we like to look for is a dog who's pretty neutral, right? We can go out to Home Depot, I can go to my house, I can go to my park, I can go to my neighbor's house and stay with my dog, and the dog is very neutral. He's not always seeking attention in people. He's not disturbed by his environment. I tell a lot of people that's what we're looking for is a socially neutral dog. I think that's really what comes down what most people want is a pretty socially neutral dog.
Yes. And you're in Austin there. That would be your area. Any you guys have any celebrity clients? You guys have dogs going, certain celebrities that come through. We need this dog from you guys, no one else.
Yeah, we have had a few athletes. Some of them unfortunately have made us sign things that we can't disclose who they are. But we've worked with a few athletes before. We've gotten there's another actor that reached out to us and he's looking for a dog. Again, I don't know how they feel about names out there, but in Austin there are definitely some celebrities. One was actually looking for a personal protection dog for his family, his kids, and so I don't want to just
right. No, I got you.
If people know.
I was just asking for the simple part that, as of how the world is right now, there's people, these celebrities are getting, people just don't care anymore. So, they're getting ran up on and all this other stuff. So that's why I asked, because you'll see like the Kardashians have like a full security team. It's like the CIA that rolls around with them, and they have animals with them, and then you see all these other people. Yeah, so I just want, so people. Don't try to be paparazzi all the time, people. Some of these people have animals. So just watch yourself.
Yeah, in fact, that was the actors I talked to. He had fans jumping his fence and leaving him gifts, and he didn't like that, right? Because you got kids, right? He has kids, and so he's like, I'll come out and there'll be gifts out here, and he's like, people cook him stuff and put stuff outside. What's he do? They throw it away. No one's gonna eat what his crazy fans are doing, or some of these fans are leaving out for him. So I thought it was kind of interesting, but that is what we were talking about, or how that dog can be a huge deterrent in that situation. Not many people are gonna want to jump his fence now when there's a dog barking at them. They're gonna go to somebody else's house.
Let me see. What does Arturo say down here? He says, "What do you think of the guy that leaves?" Oh, the guy that lives with the lions. Oh, he's asking you, what do you think about the guy that lives with the lions? I've seen that guy. He's got a good.
I've seen videos of guys with the lions. That's out of my. The thing about dogs is they've been domesticated. I mean, they're still predatory animals. They can still do dog behaviors. But at the end of the day, I'd rather take a bite from a dog than get bit by a lion. So I think that's the next level, honestly, for me doing that.
Right. Now speaking of lions, and they're in another continent, a whole other continent. Have you trained dogs at any other places around the world, as far as conventions or being invited to some place? Or are you strictly here in the U.S.?
Strictly in the U.S. I've had people ship me dogs, or someone who shipped me dogs from the Bahamas. They send me their dog as a Doberman to train. That's about the first of my extent. But in the States is where I typically go for like conferences or talking to the trainers and training people's dogs. So I've gone a lot of different places for that, just to again help people out or for seminars.
All right. Now I'm gonna get this from you, from your personal opinion. Top five dogs to have for protection.
Okay, that's I think many people are gonna like my answer, and it depends on what people want, right? So
this is hot facts right here. You are the expert. It's coming from you right now.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what. For me, if I'm going to get a dog for protection, a dog that I want to use to compete with, I'm going to get nothing more than a Belgian Malinois. And it's probably going to be what's called FCI papers. It's not going to be something. If it's stateside, right, it's not going to be AKC registered. It's just not the way to go. That's me personally, right? A dog that comes like cane, PB lines, that's what I like. That's my style. I personally see those make really good dogs for what we as either a police dog, personal protection dog, a sport dog. I see the majority of them come from that line. Most people can't handle a dog like that. So when we talk about top 5 breeds, right? So if someone comes, and it depends on what their definition of that is. I mean, there are some people that they say, yeah, I want a personal protection dog, but they really just want a dog that barks at the front door and barks at the boundaries of the yard. And they feel safe. If that's the case, there's a lot of breeds that you guys can get, people can get that are lower energy that do the job, right? So like a lot of times we have like people that come with a Corso or Mastiff, and they are very intimidating dogs, but they can also be very sweet and social. I also like Rottweilers for that fact, right? Because they can be very sweet, very social dogs, but they are just not. They may not always make the cut for myself and for us here personally as a personal protection dog or sport dog. But that's my take on it. It's like there's a lot of dogs that can be turn dogs. Now, I know this is kind of I'm going all over the place with this answer here, but when it comes to top 5 dogs, I don't even know if I can. For me, we got the Belgian Malinois, right? I like the German Shepherds, good German Shepherds. There's a lot of German Shepherds out there again that just nowadays it's really difficult to find a good German Shepherd. Dobermans aren't going to be on that list. I would probably say top 3, maybe go with a Rottweiler, maybe a Corso, number 4, maybe a Corso. Those are Presa Canario. Those another.
Canario, yeah.
Yeah.
My brother breeds Borboils.
What's that?
My brother breeds the Borboils.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. I've worked with a lot of those dogs before. Those could be another great, pick for a personal protection dog. I think about this as I tell people, like, say, hey, look at the military, look at the police departments. They don't work with Rottweilers or Dobermans. Can they? Maybe, but the majority of the time they're never going to work with those breeds because they're not very energetic. They run out of gas fast. They have a lot of health issues. So that's my take on that. But Dogo Argentinos is another good breed. But it all comes down to getting the right dog. Me personally, I'm on dog number 3 right now, trying to find another dog. One of my dogs had passed away, so I'm getting the dog. I've gone through a couple already, and they make great family dogs. But for me personally, I'm looking for something that, you know, that's intense. You know,
Right.
Not a lot of people can handle a dog like that.
Now, can you turn? You know how, you know, certain dog types. That's what they're for. Now, can you work your magic and turn any dog into a guard dog?
Yeah, that's another, you know, it's a really great question. It's tough because to a certain extent, yes, right? To a certain extent, I can do that. But that's what I worked with. You know, in the past, many years ago, I used to work with people. I don't care what they had. They wanted to do guard dog training. I'd tease them and try to do something with them. But at the end of the day, they don't make the cut. And that is what has grown, is what's grown for myself and into where, I mean, if the dog does not have what it takes, there's not going to, I don't even work with a dog that's not worth my time for when it comes down to protection training. I won't. You know, so it's like, can you turn any dog into it? To an extent, you can. But here's, you know, and we didn't really get a chance to talk about training, and I think it's make a lot more sense. You know, there's different ways to train a dog for protection training. One of the ways that I think they should be trained is to the dog's natural prey drive, which means the dog loves to play chase. We start as a young puppy, they're chasing, they're biting, they're tugging, they love to tug, they win, they have fun. As they get older, we use a bite sleeve, and we go to a bite suit, and then we start transitioning away from equipment. With other dogs, they start no equipment, they put a lot of pressure on, it's just straight aggression, right? They're taking aggression out of that dog. So if we start with the dog and just take straight aggression, absolutely, they could be, you know, a protection dog. But the issue with that is you're going to cause a lot of trouble for that dog and for the owner, because they're going to be one of these dogs that says, okay, neighbor over here is making me mad. I'm going to just bite him, let him know to back off, right? They're training the dog through fear, straight aggression. So, you know, I think that's the other part to it as well. Again, there are some people that to this day, that's the way they train. They put a lot of pressure on dogs to get them to bite. They look, you know, to someone like you know, or other people who don't know what they're looking at, they're going to say, wow, that's a nasty dog. That's a great protection dog. And I'll look at that dog and say, I don't want anything to do with that dog. You know, in fact, a lot of people come to us and they say, hey, my dog's really aggressive. I think you'd be a great person protection dog. And one of the first things I'm thinking is, not going to make the cut. It's not worth it. It's not going to make the cut, because I'm not looking for a dog that has aggression. I'm looking for a dog that can go up to people. If the dogs, most of the reason dogs are being aggressive is they're afraid, right? So we don't want someone to come out, and we don't want to make a dog be more scared.
Right. Music Gig City Hustler. They are out of the Austin area in Texas. Austin area in Texas. That is where they are. Now, this next question here, I grew up with a passion for animals. I remember still to this day, my friend, I just turned 40 years old. My friends still crack jokes. Like, we'll go outside or something. What's the animal there? I know mating cycles and the, you know, eating habits, insects or whatever. My kids know that. I'll go ahead and catch the animals and we'll have them as pets and stuff like that. Where does your passion come for the training of the dog? Like, separate from your love for the dog, where did it go in from you wanting to actually go and just train the dogs with that mastery?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always been there. Something's always been in my head since I was young about, for some reason, police dogs and protection dogs. I don't know why. I remember I had a lab when I was younger, and I was just thinking, wow, it'd be cool to get this dog. I used to watch this Rin Tin Tin, right? And I would think my dog could do that stuff. And I tried to train it myself when I was younger to do that. It was silly, right? But I think where this all sparked was many years later when I was in the Marine Corps, and I remember being on base, and I remember driving by and seeing some of these dogs work. And I was like, I got to look into more of this. And I did. When I was in the military, I did not do any handler work, but I got a chance to talk to some handlers. I had just gotten a German Shepherd myself. And so I was like, well, I have a German Shepherd. You guys have German Shepherds. And I'm like, clearly they're the same thing. And my dog can do the same stuff you guys are. And shortly after I got out of the Marine Corps, I just started to dig in as deep as I can, not just to train my personal dog, just learn as much as I can. I did a bunch of different trainers just to hear the philosophy, just to learn. And that's how it all started. That's how this whole thing started. It's one of those things where probably like yourself, you're up late at night thinking about something, and that it just consumed my time. before I started doing this as a job. I just would think online and look online and look at my phone at night. You know, I'm up at night looking at dog videos and reading literature about stuff. And that's what ignited this whole passion for it many years ago.
Now, I have a degree in kinesiology. I'm a personal trainer, and I understand, you know, the anatomy part of everything else like that. But I like the training part, which is why I went more trainer than going, you know, into the medical field that way. Was that kind of the same thing for you? Like, you had to set, I want to do this over trying to work at a zoo or be a veterinarian?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where, you know, I just kind of fell into it. Like I said, I had a, you know, I guess I didn't really know I had a passion for it. I always know I liked, obviously, dogs, and, you know, had something in the back of my head from it. And then once I just started realizing that this is a thing, right? I mean, you know, you can actually learn and how to become a dog trainer. I was blown away. You know, obviously training wasn't even like a thought at first. It was just like, how can I train my dog? And then as I started going to trainers, I started realizing, oh, like, this is a thing, you know? And so I just started to dive in as much as I can.
Roy, we went over that question right there, Roy. He says, can you teach a Chihuahua to be a gangster dog? We went over that. We just went over that, Roy.
Well, you know, that's the thing too. I think that Chihuahuas are already gangster dogs, right? So you don't have to do anything with them. They're fine as they are. They always want to nip at you.
Yeah, Chihuahuas are those dogs are hilarious. Now, I go to areas where out here, you know, you might go by a ranch and they'll have their huge dogs, right? And then you'll see the Chihuahua up front, though. You'll see the Chihuahua up front, and it's accompanied by like 5 giant dogs. But you know, it can hold its own. It can hold its own right there. Now, with you get called into schools a lot. You know, the elementary schools and junior highs.
Not necessarily for that stuff, and I'm not, you know, exactly what you're pertaining to. I know just about 2 or 3 weeks ago, one of my trainers here, he went to a school to help him with a project. They were trying to come up with this new idea for dog training. Pretty interesting. They wanted it's for people who have a disability to have a service dog. They had this idea. They need some help, some guidance with that. Gone to school before for like shows, like basically showing them what dogs can do. And that's another thing that we've done before for shows, for schools.
Now there's one show that I do catch every now and then. It's the Canine show, and it's kind of like American Ninja Warrior. It's the trainer. And so, have you thought about applying for that to get on there?
I actually I met those people out in Vegas a few years back. I also know somebody who's been on that show, and you know, it's pretty cool. I think you have to have a good dog for it at the time. Like I said, I had a dog. I think that would have done an amazing job on that show, but we weren't picked, unfortunately. Perhaps I don't even have a dog right now I can bring on that show. I'm in the process of that, but I'm sure once I get to that point, I'd be happy to do that. It'd be fun.
Now, is there any like Olympics for your genre? Is there an Olympics for you guys every year?
Yeah, there's a place in Bond Lake Kennels in Indiana. They do what's called the Canine Olympics, and that's basically what they do. Is it's based off a few different events that they have. It's what they do. There's also a place, I believe it's in Alabama, where they do like a canine biathlon, triathlon thing with their dogs. It's pretty cool. You run, you go through the mud with your dog. At the end of it, some of your dogs get to go and take a bite. So it's a lot. So yeah, those are cool little events. Again, I haven't been to them personally, but yeah, it's fun to see that stuff.
Oh man, this is cool stuff right here. Now, people, this is precision canine work. People, precision canine work. This is Jake here. He made a stop on in here into Hot Facts, people. Now, you know, I tell you guys how you don't know like when I'm getting to interview people. I'm telling you, I go through 100 no's before I get a yes, people. And it just so happened that this yes was an instant connection. You know, I went through the proper procedures on what the website says. People follow directions. I did the proper procedure, got that done, and got them on in here. So this was actually, people, our first, you know, conversation outside of a little bit on the phone and a few text, people. And as you see how good work can go when, you know, you really got something going there. I want to thank you for stopping by Hot Facts. It's your first time on the show. What I do is I go and find people who are doing things that I like, special things, and then I find people who they may have a really great channel and just no one's on it. And I like to interview people just to let them know that, hey, I see it, I see what you're doing, and then give some more information out there to people that may want to learn some of this stuff too. So that's what I use my whole platform for. It's education, it's teaching, it's things like that. Now that this is your first time on Hot Facts, what do you think about the Hot Facts platform?
Oh, this is great. I think it's awesome just being able to share some knowledge to, like I said, everyday people who, go to YouTube. Like I said, I was one of those people too. I'd go to YouTube and I'd look at videos and try to learn things, whether it be good or bad. I'd learn stuff. So I think it's awesome what you're doing here.
Okay. Oh, Roy's Critter Corner. See, Roy's an animal guy. He had. Let's answer this one really quick. He says, what is his opinion on some of the police dogs that seem out of control?
Yeah, that's a good question because I don't like, no one would like seeing that. I think that there's a definition right there, like what's out of control. I mean, some of these dogs, again, you got to think that's what they do. They come out of the car or they come out, they have a job to do. It's like all of us do. And so the dog is fired up, ready to do something. And you got to think, these dogs here, they go out and they go bite somebody, they get out in public and they're amped up. I mean, that's what they live for. This is what they want. So I think it comes down to, if I see it happening, some videos I have seen and I said, wow, this is not good for the handler. I've seen other videos where I say, this is not great in the dog. It's poor training. Again, I think it goes back to what I said earlier. The majority of the time these vendors, these police officers get dogs, they've got good dogs. It comes down to the education that they have. So again, if I see a dog really out of control, and I don't know exactly what situation he's talking about here, I'm most likely looking at the handler on that.
Now, this will be the last question here. What do you? And it'll go and kind of piggyback off of what Roy did a little bit. What Roy just said. What is your opinion on? I'll switch it up. Riot control and unleashing the dog on. What's your opinion on that? Instead of the bargaining to get back to the next level. What's your opinion on that?
You're talking about just a riot control situation, or for any situation there with the dog.
Well, like okay, it's kind of hard to try to pinpoint a crowd control. All right. I'll use, and I don't want to use that because I don't want to make it seem like, what I mean? Okay. Whatever. Let's use the George Floyd thing. Let's use the George Floyd thing, all those protests going all over the place, where police felt like they didn't have control, and that the reserves have to come on in.
Yeah. That's a good point. So I'll tell you this, I can't find it. If I can find it, I'll send it to you. There's a really good video out there of what I would say was proper crowd control with dogs. And if you watch the video, they have the police officers with their shields, and then they open up, and the dogs come in. It pushes everyone back about 15 feet. Once it pushes those people back, then when you have the police officers come in front of those dogs with shields, and they keep gaining ground, all right, 15, 20 feet at a time. To me, that was a really great execution of the crowd control. None of the dogs were off leash. In my opinion, I don't think they should be off leash because most of those crowd control dogs are just going to bite anything. Even a police officer probably that comes near them are probably going to get bit. So, I think at the end of the day, I feel like the dog is a turn. And that, the thing about dogs, and when it comes to police departments, dogs are non-lethal. They're there much like a taser. They're supposed to just do their job and make the officer's job easier in this situation. But yeah, I mean, I feel like sometimes too, and I hate to say this, but I mean, you can see some things online, and you're like, I don't know if that dog should have bit that person. There's some things where it's kind of questionable. And that comes down to, again, all police officers. I'll tell you this right now, they should be going through. They have, like, for us, doing this here in Texas, we have a license for being able to do security dogs and train these types of dogs. And every year we had to go through training to make sure that we knew what we were doing. Same thing they should be doing in the state. They're doing some of the same thing. They go through a handler's course. They learn about case law to make sure that they don't do anything stupid. You know what I mean? Because having that dog, like I said, is a big liability. So I think that it's a great. It's what we want with our dogs. We want an asset, and any department should be the same way. They want an asset, not a liability. And I feel like liability, with like you're kind of talking about here, if the dog's off leash, at the crowd control area, and they bite a kid, or they bite somebody, that's an issue. There's actually some videos years back. You can find out some protesters, and they hired some people to come in, and these dogs, the contractors out there were like, "Why are we out?" And they end up leaving. They left with their dogs. Their dogs bit a couple people, but they were like, "Why are we out here?" There's protesters out here, protesting something. They got hired to go out there with their dogs. It wasn't the police department; it was just private security, and they end up leaving, right? Because they're like, "What are we doing out here?" So I think I don't know if that answered your question or not. I'm sorry, I was kind of a roundabout.
No, that was right there. And I'm just gonna say now, I've seen the dogs I see at the airports in like Germany, or is that in Russia, where they just roam the airports, no leash at all, and they just do their job. They just roam. And I think the guy, he's been working on this dog, is part jackal and he pretty much made this dog. It's off the leash in the airports, and all it does is its job. Yeah. And no one does anything because they know what that dog can do.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I think it's liability, whether the dog does its job or not. I mean, it's just a liability, right? I mean, just because, and here's the thing too, if I had a dog that was going to be doing that job, most of the time, right? I mean, you're going to know the type of dog you have. And like I said, I think that it comes down to two things. Either that's just a show that they're putting on, honestly. It looks really good. I'm like, oh, this dog's off leash. He's amazing. We've seen what he can do. In reality, the dog's not going to do anything. That's, I think, a lot of that where it comes down to. I'm not saying anything. I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about, but I've seen, where they've done off leash stuff with dogs as a protection dog. And again, to me, it comes down to some liability things where I don't know if it's worth it. If the dog is that good, I don't think I'd put him off leash.
Well, you just said it right there. I don't think it's worth it. Anything can happen at any given time, people. You want to try to mitigate. You want to mitigate these things and not have, these random lawsuits. And whenever something random like this happens, people, let me tell you, you got to get the random lawyer fee. He's gonna want all of that to make it good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, people, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This has been a good one for me. A lot of great information. Arturo, I hope you got some information there so you can work on with your dog there. Switch up that kennel and get that Supreme Fortress kennel. You know what I mean? And let them know what that kennel was again.
Roughland Kennel. Roughland. You can just search Roughland Kennels. They'll pop up. A lot of times, Cabela's, Bass Pro Shops, they sell them, but you can find them online directly through the Roughland themselves.
Yes. Now, let the people know where they can find you at all over.
Yeah, so
all that.
Precision Canine Work, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. It's Precision Canine Work. You can find us at that. Twitter, we're on those.
He said Rufflin. He said Rufflin.
Ruffland. It's no, not spelled that way. It's RUFF.
RUFF. Arturo, RUFF. Rufflin.
Yeah.
Yes. Because he was just at the Harbor Freight toy store buying stuff to fix the leashes that the dog is going through. So you helped him out a lot. People, you heard that. That's Facebook. That's Instagram. That's YouTube. Your local area there in the Austin area, I'm pretty sure that they're in all type of little local things there. You'll find them on top of all type of stuff there. Well, I want to thank you for stopping by and sharing some of this great expertise. Every now and then when I'm going to need to have some safety training, can I bring you back on?
Yeah, if you got questions, I mean that's huge what we do. So let me know.
Yeah, let you know. And people, if that's it, I'm gonna do what I do. Sign out like Chuck Woolery and 2 and 2. I'll see you guys later.
Thank you.